All right, everyone. Welcome back to another video. Last time we left off with the Allies' triumphal march through Tunisia, or the Tunisian capital. We're now on to China on the offensive. At the close of 6 years of resistance to Japanese aggression, resourceful Chinese troops overcome all obstacles to surprise the enemy. We can see, obviously, the Chinese rushing up. And yeah, it's one of the big debated topics. When do you start World War II? Do you start it when the Japanese attack China, or do you start it when Germany invades Poland? Personally, I would argue that you would start World War II when Germany invades Poland, because before it was just a regional conflict, China versus Japan. But Germany attacking Poland brings in the British Empire, the French Empire, and not quite yet, but it will bring in the Soviet Union eventually. And it brings in, other smaller nations that I'm just not mentioning, so I would say that's more of a world war than just China versus Japan. I wouldn't say start World War II here. Now, you could say this is a sign of World War II. Like, hey, World War II is coming. Like, look, here, Japan's attacking China. But I wouldn't say it's a start, personally. But the Chinese, yeah, they resist hard. And good on them. They fought very hard and were able to more or less expel the Japanese from their country. Not single-handedly, but pretty dang near close. China's armies attacked the Japanese invaders. May 20th, 27th, 1943. Defending gateway to Chongqing. The Japanese attack early in May, south of the Yangtze River, failed. 2 strongly reinforced Japanese divisions were routed with heavy losses, and Chinese troops captured an important pass leading to Chongqing. At the end of May, the Chinese launched an offensive near the Hupin-Honan border, trapping 5 enemy divisions. Above, Chinese troops move up to the front. So here we can see them moving up here. They made a little makeshift bridge. It's not really like a full-on bridge, but good enough. And there probably is more down the river or the whatever. I guess it's more of a creek. Got the little creek here. Or it's a river, whichever you prefer. To the top left here, long lines of Chinese on the march. I mean, yeah, look at this. It goes all the way back here. It's probably about this line right here, that all we can see is probably close to a few hundred men. Probably anywhere from 200 to 1,000, honestly. But I'm not sure. But it's quite a few men on the march. Yeah, China has a lot of people, huge armies now. So they're able to man these huge armies. And their main problem was they didn't have enough guns for men. They had more men than they had guns. So it makes it really hard to fight when you don't have any weapons. The bottom left is camouflage Chinese soldier in firing line. Now, this guy's not so camouflaged, but this guy is. You can see they've got their rifles and they're shooting down range. I can't tell what rifles these are. There's not enough of them for me to really tell, but yeah. Looks like the camouflage. It looks like good camouflage, so he probably was a good sniping position, potentially, or just forward operating troops. Churchill and Allied military leaders confer in Algeria. May 28th, 1943. War conference at Algiers. On May 27th, after his visit to Washington, Mr. Churchill, accompanied by General Marshall, U.S. Army Chief of Staff, flew from the United States to Gibraltar. After passing one night there, he proceeded to the Allied headquarters in North Africa and was joined in Algiers by Anthony Eden, who had flown from England. The Prime Minister had conversations with all the Allied leaders, among them General Eisenhower, Alexander, Anderson, and Montgomery, Admiral Cunningham, and Air Chief Marshal Tedder. He also met General Giard and de Gaulle on June 4th. Mr. Churchill visited the Tunisian battlefields and addressed 3,000 troops in the amphitheater in Carthage, near Tunis, which is right here. We can see this is him, I believe, right there. No, that's not him. I don't see him. Maybe that is him. I can't tell. But I believe that is actually. So we can see him in the amphitheater at Carthage, talking to all these men, saying, hey, good job, boys. You did it. You beat the Axis. The other pictures here show the top, so right here, members of the War Conference. And, no, actually, first, we're just going to go. This is the members of the War Conference. So, members that, people we mentioned earlier. Eisenhower is the only one I can really make out. Mostly because I'm not good with faces. Never been real great with faces, sadly. I believe that's Montgomery. So, at least I can recognize those two. The rest of these guys, I'm not so good with, sorry. And then the left here, we have Mr. Churchill, General Montgomery, and General Marshall. All right, or maybe that's Alexander. I don't remember. But those guys do not look happy to be getting together. Churchill kind of looks like a mob boss in this picture. But yeah. Obviously, this is good that he is helping. I mean, he was a military man himself. He fought in the First World War, actually. He was a commander, and then obviously his famous failing at somebody in the comments is gonna have to remind me the name. I know what it is. It's like one of those things where it's on the tip of my tongue, but I don't remember. But famous failing, and then he is so ashamed he gives up and goes and fights on the front, which, is very commendable. But so he knows what he's talking about usually with a lot of these military guys. And it's also good for the troops to see him because it's like, hey, look, there's the Prime Minister. He's here with us and congratulating us. The meeting of Generals Giard and de Gaulle at Algiers. May 30th, 1923. De Gaulle arrives in North Africa. General de Gaulle, leader of the fighting French since the fall of France in 1940, arrived in North Africa on May 30th for talks with General Giard, commander-in-chief of the French forces in North Africa. The visit of General de Gaulle was the result of several months of negotiations between the French National Committee in London and General Giard. The long-range exchange of views effected through General Cateau, who had traveled to and from Britain with proposals and counter-proposals, led eventually to General Giard's agreement to a meeting at Algiers to discuss the coordination of fighting French effort. The picture on the left shows the two leaders of the Free French together. Their discussion culminated later in the establishment of the French Committee of National Liberation, presided over by the two generals jointly. Meantime, the French forces in North Africa under General Giard were in action. So yeah, there's the Gull, and there's Giard. Yeah, obviously it's important for these two guys to work together, because, I mean, they're basically the main leaders. Giard has a lot of the troops, the Gull has a lot of the support of the people, so they got to work together, because, you know, if they don't, then, for all they know, France won't be liberated. And it's very important to them that it does. That's their nation. And then, above here, French troops are seen unloading mules on their way to the front. We can see here, getting all the supplies off the mules, putting it into what appears to be a truck, I think. I can't tell. Yeah, it appears to be a truck, but yeah, mules obviously used quite effectively. Horses still too. We kind of just brush over a lot of that because they're not as widely used for battle per se, more used for transport, but, you know, horses still have a place, and mules as well, because they can sometimes move a little better on the bad terrain. Sometimes vehicles get stuck in the mud, things like that. Horses can work around that, and so can mules. So they're still useful in this war. So, yeah. Actually, fun fact, India in this war, I believe, still has war elephants. So it's the last war that they ever used them in. I think it's actually the last war they were ever in, but no, that's not true. I could be wrong about that. But yeah, they had war elephants in this war, so that's a little neat fact for you. But with that, that's going to do it for this video. If you guys liked the video, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a comment. Tell me what I can improve on. I always appreciate your feedback. And as always, subscribe. It really does help out the channel. Thank you.